You stood in front of a mirror this morning. Maybe you brushed your hair. Maybe you didn't even think about it. But somewhere, right now, someone is sitting in a chair watching strands of hair fall to the floor. A stranger with a blade near their neck. And they trust that stranger completely. Why? Why do we let another human being near our throats with sharp metal? The answer is older than writing. Older than cities. Older, maybe, than we ever imagined. And it starts in a place with no mirrors, no scissors, and no rules. Picture a cave, cold air, firelight flickering on stone walls. A woman kneels beside another. In her hand, she holds 2 seashells. Not for eating, not for decoration. She's using them like tweezers, pulling, plucking, strand by strand. This is not fiction. Archaeologists have found evidence of this behavior stretching back tens of thousands of years. Some researchers point to cave art from around 30,000 BCE, suggesting early humans were already grooming each other. It sounds strange. Why would hunter-gatherers, worried about predators and starvation, care about their hairs? But maybe that's exactly why they cared. In a small tribe, appearance mattered. A clean face, a managed head of hair. These weren't vanity. They were signals of health, of status, of belonging to the group. When our ancestors needed a tool sharper than shells, they looked to the earth itself. Flint. Obsidian. Volcanic glass, cooled into blades thinner than steel. Some scientists have measured the edge of a freshly broken obsidian flake. It can be sharper than a modern surgical scalpel. Early humans didn't need metal to cut hair. They needed a rock, broken at just the right angle. This is the part of the story most people never learn. Before bronze, before iron, before any barbershop ever existed, stone was the first razor. But there's something we still don't fully know. We can't prove exactly why early humans started cutting or plucking their hair. We can only see the tools. The theories about why, cleanliness, ritual, status, come from studying later cultures who left records behind. And the first culture to leave a very loud record was Egypt. Walk into a tomb in ancient Egypt, and you will find something unexpected. Razors. Not weapons, not jewelry. Razors made of copper, sometimes even gold, buried next to kings. Why would a pharaoh need a razor in the afterlife? Because in Egypt, hair wasn't just hair. It was dirt. It was disease. It was something to be removed. The Greek historian Herodotus, writing centuries later, described Egyptian priests as almost obsessive about cleanliness. They shaved their heads, their faces, sometimes their entire bodies. Historical accounts suggest priests repeated this every few days, believing that hair trapped impurity and impurity offended the gods. But here's the twist. If everyone who mattered was shaving their heads bald, how did Egyptians maintain their famous, elegant hairstyles seen in wall paintings and statues? The answer is wigs. Egyptians didn't grow elaborate hairstyles. They built them from human hair, plant fiber, even wool, worn over a shaved scalp. Practical, clean, and most fashionable. This means someone had to make them. Someone had to shave the heads. Someone had to style the wigs. Barbering, as a skill, as a trade, may have been born here in the heat of the Egyptian sun, thousands of years before the word barber ever existed. While Egypt was shaving heads for purity, another civilization was watching hair very differently. Travel east to Mesopotamia. Here, hair told a different story. Long, curled beards on kings and gods weren't dirt to be removed. They were power to be displayed. Look at the statues, the carvings. Kings with beards braided into perfect ringlets, sometimes even dyed or oiled to shine in the sun. In this world, an unshaved wild beard on a criminal was punishment. A cut beard on a nobleman was humiliation. Hair had become a language, and cutting it, or refusing to cut it, spoke louder than words. Now travel further. Cross the sea. Land in ancient Greece. Here, something changes again. Young Greek men grew their hair long. It was a symbol of youth, of freedom, of not yet being burdened by adult responsibility. But there was a moment, a specific ritual moment when that changed. When a Greek boy came of age, historical sources describe a ceremony where his long hair was cut and offered to the gods, sometimes to Apollo, sometimes to a local river god. It marked the end of childhood. The cutting of hair wasn't just grooming anymore, it was a rite of passage, a public transformation from boy to man, witnessed by the whole community. But if you want to see hair truly become a weapon of history, we need to go to one man, on one night, before one battle. The year is 331 BCE. Alexander the Great stands before his army near Gaugamela. Tomorrow, they face the Persian Empire. And Alexander gives an order that seems bizarre for the night before a war: shave. According to ancient accounts, Alexander commanded his soldiers to cut their beards short, arguing that in close combat an enemy could grab a beard and use it as a handle. A haircut as military strategy. It's worth pausing here. We should separate legend from certainty. Ancient historians like Plutarch recorded this story generations after it supposedly happened. We can't verify Alexander's exact words, but the effect on history is documented and real. Clean-shaven faces began spreading with Greek and later Macedonian influence across the ancient world. A single order, given the night before a battle, may have reshaped how millions of men looked for centuries. Now, hair wasn't just personal, it was political. Fast forward to Rome, and something new appears, a public figure with a name history nearly forgot, the tonsure, Rome's professional barber. Roman barbershops weren't quiet, private rooms. They were loud, social hubs. Men gathered there not just to get shaved, but to gossip, argue politics, and hear the news of the day. A young Roman man's first shave was treated as a milestone, sometimes even celebrated with a small ceremony, marking his transition into manhood, echoing that same idea we saw in Greece centuries earlier. But being a tonsure was risky work. Steel blades, no mirrors like we have today, just polished metal. Historical writers occasionally joked, half seriously, about nervous customers and shaky-headed barbers. Trust, once again, was everything. The same trust you feel today, sitting in a chair, letting a stranger near your neck with a blade. That trust has a 2,000-year-old history. As Rome fell, and centuries passed into what we call the medieval period, something strange happened to the profession. Barbers became more than groomers. In medieval Europe, they became something closer to doctors, barber surgeons. The same person who trimmed your beard might also pull your tooth, or perform a bloodletting believed at the time to cure illness by removing bad blood. It sounds shocking today, but it tells us something important. For most of human history, cutting hair and treating the body were seen as connected skills. Both required a steady hand. Both required trust. The red and white striped pole, still seen outside barbershops today, is widely believed to trace back to this era. Red symbolizing blood, white symbolizing the bandages. A symbol from surgery, hiding in plain sight outside barbershops for hundreds of years. So here we are, thousands of years after shells and stone blades, after Egyptian priests and Greek rites of passage, after Alexander's army and Roman gossip shops, after medieval barber surgeons with their strange dual trade. You sit in a chair. Someone picks up a tool far sharper, far safer than anything our ancestors had. But the moment feels almost the same. Trust, ritual, transformation. We still cut hair to mark change, before interviews, before weddings, before new chapters in our lives. We still let someone we barely know hold something sharp near our most vulnerable place, and we don't think twice. Because this habit isn't really about hair. It never was. It's about what hair has always represented: identity, belonging, power, change. And the next time you sit in that chair and feel the first snip near your ear, remember, you're not just getting a haircut. You're taking part in a ritual older than pyramids, older than kings, older, quite possibly, than history itself.